Wiggins' experience. He had this kind of vision of the Committee of 300 as like the apex of the human power structure. And this alien would come down above them. And George H.W. Bush was there with John McCain behind him as his assistant, and Henry Kissinger was there. And he said he had a black hat and a black robe. And I said, don't, that's how rabbis look. Yeah, he said there's some emulation there. So it was an alien being that looked like a rabbi. Robert Wiggin described that in the book. The book is called Light of Darkness. We did a whole way, we went through every single chapter of the book, 10 hours of videos. I have a whole playlist called Bruce McDonald, Light of Darkness on the Brian Root channel.
I had an experience.
For Wiggin that he was so in so deep, but he had a wife who was also so deep, and they had an infant son, maybe 6 months old, and he didn't want anything to do with the child, but he had to take care of the boy one day, and he just drew him in, like the soul that came in there was, the purpose was to get him out of this, and he drew him in with his heart, and it just opened it up, and he saw the light, and he started to get out of it. These temples, they're just part of another scheme. I mean, we have our heart and we have to use it, and that's the only temple we need as far as I'm concerned.
I guess the issue is humanity. How do we deal with 7.8 billion people? How do we get this? Like the globalists are running the spirit of working for the spirit. How do we get it out of this world? So I guess that's what Robert Wiggin and Bruce McDonald were concerned with, how to get it out of here.
Robert Wiggin and Bruce McDonald are different. I've emailed Robert Wiggin, and he told me that, you need to do this. You need to open your heart. This is what Robert Wiggin said. I don't know what.
Well, that's what Bruce McDonald said. Have you watched any of his 10 hours of videos?
Well, it's so hard to approach 10 hours, but what did he say?
Well, he said we have to open our heart. It's about love. Yeah.
They're not going to let this, their creation go to shit, They're going to intervene. And I totally believe that, that this is what the Space Force is about, and what Dr. Greer has been talking about, the false flag, because they're aware of this, talking about the cabal, they're aware of the rescue mission, and they're going to call, when they come in as the rescue mission, they're going to call this an alien attack, try to make us believe that, we have to fight them, right? And, Dr. Greer has been teaching us to, to welcome them, and that's what they need. They can't, they can't follow, they can't not follow universal law. They have to, we have to allow them to come in. We have to call them in, we have to welcome them. And that's what Dr. Greer is doing,
What I feel,
followed this person, Anelia Benz for a number of years. And she says, basically, if it resonates, it doesn't mean it's good, but you have some connection to it, I think especially for people who've had a dark history. I think I've had a dark history. I've had a past life regression where it was all about abuse of power in ancient Egypt. That's affected my karma. So we are prone to have influences of both, light and dark. And we have to, we have to make the choice always, between the one and the other. It's not like some other people who are pretty well like total light, and they're just, everything is so light to them. All their connections are light. There's no question. But I think, I've had to, make I don't know where I am now, but I think I see the way, and it's not, I don't have the kind of connections. I mean, I do have some, but they're not just kind of, I've never had a meeting kind of thing, but I've had things that, come through me that I'm trying to bring out. There's now this dream this Indian woman had, and it's about reptilians, but I've spent a couple of days analyzing it, both from the way dream symbols work and trying to find, and then I had to research the genetics that I think the dream symbols are talking about. So I feel I have a part in that process. So, you know, and I feel, you know, I've been guided to do this. Now it's going to be published, and whoever reads it will know how, will have an idea of how reptilians are able to maintain their human shape, you know, because it's in this dream that I've decoded. So, you know, I'm trying to do what I can. I mean, the power thing is more the Dracos. The Zetas, what they're looking for is a soul matrix transplant. It's possible. I did a whole presentation on this, you know, in the spring, and it's very complex, you know, where, but we have to agree to it in some way. They can take over our elemental side basically, because we have like a physical and then the elemental side, you know, the body elemental. So they can replace that with a zeta, with a gray. So if they, once they do that, our memories slowly get transformed into the, you know, we get subsumed into the zeta mind complex. They have a mind complex. They work as a hive mind, you know, and there's a, you know, there's a higher,
Yes, but
there's a hive mind. So that's what the zetas are about. They're not so much about control. They're about this mental, you know, this mind control and this soul matrix transplanting, you know. So
But I just want to comment on that, Petra. Like you said, they wanted to exterminate, I guess, the genetically inferior. But the visions of the waves that say Marie France has and Jeff has and Chris have is kind of the same thing. It's a vision that a lot of people are going to be washed away, and they're going to have a superior sort of hybrid race with maybe more spiritually evolved. And but like Jeff's visions are, or what they've been told is the whole focus is on spirituality and spiritual development. So that what you're saying sounds consistent with what Jeff's saying.
well, I would
but
say it sounds that way, but according to Voyagers, that's a con. They're trying to, you know, they're trying to make us believe this until, you know, they get the control, and then they'll get rid of us basically.
Well, but
what
does not
I
make sense.
what
It does not make sense to get rid of billions of
yeah,
people because they're disappointed with Homo sapiens sapiens. They want to have a superior, eugenically
Oh,
superior
no,
humanity 2.0.
no, that's, I
sure,
mean, they're not
but they
abiding
don't.
by universal law. The Zetas, they're not, you know, uh, but they're getting away with it, you know, and that's why there could
But
be a rescue mission, you know.
the thing is,
We do it, you know, because we're human, you know. We can forget about the aliens, you know. Yes, they can help us, but we're in charge, kind of thing. We're not gonna let them dictate stuff, anybody, you know, anyway. So
yes, we have the possibility
if
to.
you start following them, yeah, there's information in these books, but you know, it's not, you know, it's nothing as to, you know, I mean, it's just sort of giving us what is, you know, I mean, just to be aware of this. So, but it's, I agree, it's about creating, you know, through our intention. But then we don't need the aliens, really, you know. I mean, that's the purpose why there's a quarantine around the planet. It's like, you know, they allow. I mean, the Zeta certainly got in. I think the Philadelphia experiment, the Montauk experiment, they created way to get them in, you know, undetected. But you know, that's why channeling. I mean, it's not, the messages are all like just inspiring. They're not about you have to do this or whatever. You know, like look at the Palladians. Look at Barbara Marciniak and, you know, I mean, Bringers of the Dawn. There's nothing in there that says, you know, this is the way it is, you have to do this or anything like that. It's all, they're inspiring us to find our own answers, you know. I mean, that's what the positive kind of channeling is, you know.
Got a comment on what you're saying about channeling. I feel a similar way. Like a lot of channel message, a lot of people write channel books, and it's contradictory information or particular information, so it's hard to be sure. But actually, Anna Dean, I do have a lot of respect for her. I've watched all like 8 or 9 hours of her videos with Carrie Cassidy. They recorded back in 2009, and I haven't read the Voyager books, so I really respect that Petra's read them, and part one, volume one, costs thousands of dollars because it's out of print. People can buy volume two. So that's why I want Petra to have a meeting on that, you
The other
know.
way around. I think the volume two costs $1,000 on Amazon, but uh,
Oh,
volume two volume two is actually available in PDF from Ashiana Dean's.
oh,
Uh,
so volume one is still for sale. It's
yeah,
easier to
about
get.
300 or $300 or something. I don't think it's available in e-format. So
Yeah,
it,
I do have a lot of respect for Asha Adini. She's got such a cosmic, galactic view
well,
of cosmology, but still,
uh,
like with channelers, it's hard to be sure. Like Jeff's actually had experience with the Greys. He's been on the craft throughout his lifetime, like 25 times that he can recall. He has a lot of personal direct connection with the Greys. So we've got to look at sources from many angles. You know, I can't just
yeah.
look at one
Uh,
source.
I would
Well,
also say the Guardian Alliance, um, Ashiana has her information, and then there's Lisa Rene. She has energeticsynthesis.com. She puts out these huge emails every month, and well, my friend who actually passed away on New Year's Day, he was very much into them. I don't really read them, but I've seen the I mean, it's not exact, but they both channel the Guardian Alliance. But I would say it's different. Even Voyagers 2, half of it is like they'll identify it in the material. They'll identify it as the speakers of the Guardian Alliance, and they'll be identified as to who they are. The rest of the book is Ashiana Dean herself and her information. So I differentiate the two when that Voyagers 1 and Voyagers 2, the part that came directly from the Guardian Alliance, when they like it was direct. It wasn't like sometimes you get channeling and it's sort of you make the best they kind of make the best guess to it, but here it was direct. It was downloaded to her in a couple of minutes, and then she took it took like 6 months to write it out. I mean, she had to choose a few words, but it was so clear as to exactly, the transcription. So
You
it's
know,
not,
who is the Guardian Alliance? Is that the same as the Galactic Council and the Federation of Planets? Is it all the same thing?
I don't know. I mean, there's pictures. Let's see. I don't know.
Like Jeff was given some information about the Federation of Planets, and he was aware of 30 to 40 planets. You can see in the videos. We had a title of that scene, that name, and yeah, and he saw a symbol, and he actually could feel the planets and see continents to get a sense of the legal relationships between them and the different societies. This is when, and he also met with his elder Gray. He met a tall white, and also the Mantid. And the Mantid was the chief
Yeah.
of operations, the project manager of the whole thing, you know.
The mantis are strange. I mean, they're high beings, right? But they don't. I mean, they'll support either side, sort of. Like the mantis. They're called the Athean by the Guardians, by the Guardian Alliance. So, and they list them under the positive ETs, but they also say that it's like they're not, like I said before, they're not about getting rid of the Zetas or anything. They what they do is they try to enlighten them, and the mantis, they come in and they work with the Greys, with the Zetas, to enlighten them. So that's, I
I
mean,
guess if it's hard for us and human beings, we kind of define good and bad, you know. But if it's a laboratory experiment, like I talked to a PhD in biogenetics. She's talking about the aliens. Human beings are like a lab experiment. Well, this specimen didn't work. Okay, let's try another specimen. This is not emotional. It's not an emotional thing. They're, they're just
well,
working on the breed,
no, I mean, just I think the Guardians respect all life. They're not about.
Well, Jeff is saying the Greys have a lot of respect for human beings. So they look at the actual, encounters that people have. They don't get killed. The Greys are respectful of their feelings.
Okay, I'm not going to argue that. I mean, I'm saying, my perspective is in line with the Guardians, and they warn us about what the Zetas, the type of gray aliens, what they're doing, and it all fits in. It's all You know, I mean, maybe I can
Well,
scan
I like
them.
what Marie France was saying, by really trusting your feeling, go by how it feels rather than what you've studied or whatever. That makes sense to me, that inner feeling of love or heart connection.
Here's here's uh here's some of the guardians, the
Uh-huh.
guardian
Oh, it
races.
says UFOs, visitors, and the
Right
interior government.
here, I'm trying to get the picture here.
Yeah, I can see the gray in there, the grays.
Well, I think that's sorry, that's Ranthia. I mean, there's all kinds of different ones we aren't that aware of, you know. Anyway, um,
Yeah,
But that's why I invited you to give a presentation, Petra, because I don't know the answers. I'm not certain the grades are good, So I just want to get more information. So that we can do that in a
I
few
don't
weeks if you
know.
want.
well, I did to give that presentation on the soul matrix transplant in the spring.
Yeah, that
I
was
guess,
good.
I mean, I sort of more because you have to do it a few times, and then I wasn't quite, it's sort of difficult to. One thing is it's very difficult to explain, but I'll give it another try. I guess I don't know.
Like I've said earlier, we're part of the problem or we're part of the solution to the problem. And that's
Yeah.
what we need to be is to reach out, show love and kindness towards each other and listen and be here to do what we can do. And even there's power in prayer too. I mean, I've had a lot of things happen that I put prayer out and miracles happen that solutions were brought forth in ways that I didn't even realize. And it got me to where I'm at today.